Welcome back to Silverstone, where we are building up to round 6 of the GB3 Championship. Round 5 took place a little earlier today, and what a race. It was great head-to-head racing on track, but it did come with a little bit of controversy, some incidents on track. In the end, Rodin Carlin driver John Bennett walked away the winner for now, but there's very much a chance that could change. If you missed it, here's a look at what happened.
Highlights then from round number 5 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. John Bennett starting from pole position, but it was Matthew Rees who flew around the outside to take over the race lead. It was only later in the race that we worked out that it was actually courtesy of a jump start. Costa Paris, though, battling through some of the mid-pack with the likes of Mackenzie Cresswell before this fantastic move from Joseph Loke straight around the outside, not of one car, but of two. This incident, though, saw Alex Dunn being ejected from the race after contact between himself and John Bennett, who would be sending him straight down the road. After a safety car restart, though, Matthew Rees was hanging on to the race lead, losing a lot of his advantage at the front of the field. Callum Voisin going out wide ahead of Joseph Loke. The battle would continue, more so for the likes of 3rd and 4th, but also for those down the order. Unfortunate issues for Zach Taylor, who was out of the race after contact, plucking the rear left wheel off of his car before Joseph Loke was taking over 3rd position from Callum Voisin. It would become 2nd, though, courtesy of the penalty from Matthew Rees. Straight around the outside he would go, and the 84 would move up into what would be the runner-up position. Callum Voisin having to worry backwards now towards the charge of Mackenzie Cresswell that was flying in this race. Matthew Rees would come across the line in 1st place, but would not take the victory. It would end up going its way of John Bennett, who would come across the line in 2nd, and then the likes of Loke and Cresswell behind. A crazy race indeed.
So that's a look back at what happened in round 5 earlier. Piers Pryor, one of the commentators with me now. I mean, yeah, you guys had a lot to talk about in that one, and some fantastic moves as well.
Yeah, it was an action-packed race. I mean, when you say fantastic moves, what springs straight to mind is just Joseph Loke round the outside of two cars at the end of the hangar straight was incredible. But also up and down the field, there were great moves as well. A couple of little issues which caused a bit of a safety car, but regardless, it was great.
Of course, Matthew Rees, you know, he did come across the line first, but then he jump starts, so he got a 10-second penalty. And the driver, who then crossed the line 2nd, it was a question over whether he was actually going to take the win or not. What was your view on what happened in that instant between himself and Alex Dunn?
Yeah, John Bennett, of course, won yesterday, and unfortunately positions reversed to 2nd today. Then won after Rees's penalty, and then unfortunately I think it's still under review. We'll find the results out later on as to whether Bennett will keep that, but yeah, it looks like he just went in a bit hot when Dunn was on the outside into Brooklands and tagged him, and it's likely he'll get some sort of reprimand into this final race this afternoon. So really disappointing for Bennett, because he's nearly had 2 wins this weekend, and you know, it's really good to see that he's up at the front of the grid, and once these tiny little things are just smoothed over, he'll be right there for the rest of the season, I'm sure. I
mean, tricky though to overtake, isn't it? There's wet patches still on the track, off the racing line where you have to go to overtake. It was still wet. So was he just caught out by that, do you think?
Potentially, yeah. It was definitely drier on the outside into Brooklands, and Bennett was on the inside defending from Dunn. Dunn was on the more grippy side, and potentially Bennett just carried a bit too much speed, and when he was squeezed onto the wetter part of the circuit, ended up in contact. And we heard from a couple of the drivers after the race in the media pen that you wouldn't have been able to go wets. It was definitely slicks out there, but at the start of the race you could see how much they were sliding around.
Yeah, well, I did catch up with John Bennett just after the race. Didn't give the reaction of a winner. I think he knew that potentially a penalty was coming. Let's hear what he had to say. Talk us through the race.
Yeah, I'd just like to apologise to Alex firstly. I just lost it on the inside going into Brooklands. Still damp on the inside. Yeah, nothing more to say about that really. Yeah, I'd just like to apologise. Very tricky race. We only had 1 green flag lap, even though conditions were changeable, which I'm not sure if that was supposed to happen. But yeah, really tricky out there, super damp. So close to losing it so many times. It was a hard race, but those JHRs have a lot of pace in these damp conditions. Not sure what happened to Rees, why he hasn't won the race, but yeah, I'd just like to say sorry to Alex first and foremost. But yeah, I mean, happy with the result, but not sure if it will stand. So.
Good sportsmanship, and Rees got a jump start there, but a great job for the Rodin Carlin team. You guys are showing really great pace.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the car's amazing. Yeah, I mean, all weekend we've been flying. Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to the team, my engineer Paul, Trevor, of course, my family, all my supporters, just like yesterday. But yeah, I mean, as I said before, apologies to Alex.
Yeah, not your normal winner's reaction, was it, there from John Bennett? You did feel sorry for him, but
yeah,
you felt more sorry as well for Alex Dunn. We didn't quite hear what he had to say, but good to hear that he immediately apologised to Alex Dunn. You can tell it wasn't something that he meant.
No, John is very much a clean and fair racer, and he wouldn't have wanted any contact to happen if you're going to help it. But unfortunately, when we're racing that close, occasionally small mistakes can happen, and unfortunately it led to Alex Dunn not being able to finish that race. But John was quite rightly so, or quite evidently sorry for that incident. But you know, he'll race on just as hard for the rest of the season, even if it's those two again, I'm sure.
Mentally now, he just has to put this behind him, I guess, and I guess it's going to be a real big challenge for him now, because we've got the reverse grid race coming up and he's going to have to do a lot of overtaking. When you've had an overtake go wrong like that mentally, how does it play on you as a driver?
It can do, but I don't think John will be thinking about it. I think he'll know what potentially he could have done differently and log that in the memory bank for future races at the Grand Prix circuit and later on in his career. But he'll be soldiering on, and I'm sure will be making his way through the field, because he's had great pace this weekend, as will a lot of the drivers at the front, because of course reverse grid race in race 3. There's
plenty of places to overtake around this Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Let's get an insight now from our commentator, Lewis McGlade.
This weekend, we head off to the home of British motorsport, to a circuit which straddles the county lines of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire. It's a fantastic venue that stood the test of time in the world of motorsport, opened back in the late 1940s. It has been a true test for many of our drivers for years and years and years, courtesy of some of the most incredible corners in world motorsports: Maggotts, Beggars and Chapel, Stowe, going around Club, up through Abbey. It is a fantastic venue. Of course, the start-finish straight for us out of Woodcote down towards Copse Corner this weekend over the 18 turns. Some of the most well-known in all of the world, including the end of the Wellington Straight, where you've got the Brooklands Corner. 5.9 kilometres or 3.6 miles in old money as they wrestle their way around the circuit, which has very little when it comes to elevation change, courtesy of it being an old airfield back in the 40s. And that is a look around the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit we'll be racing this weekend.
We've made our way down to the Elite Motorsport awning, and we've got Oliver Stewart. Oliver, we caught up with you briefly at the first round, but yesterday was a really tricky day. Just talk to us about the driving in general, but also I'm sure that you guys weren't so happy with the performance.
Yeah, we definitely struggled to start with. Qualifying wasn't great for us, and we could see what there was that we needed to work on, so obviously that's a positive. It's very difficult when you don't know what you're working on, so yeah, to see that was great. But yeah, the result was very, very poor, and we definitely aren't looking to be as far back as that at all. Second round into the race was really, really good. It was just, the start was amazing. I got a really good launch and passed 2 cars, but then after that I actually could not see a thing. Water got between my visor and the front plate of the visor, so I went into the first corner completely blind at like 200 k's. So yeah, it was pretty scary stuff. But yeah, in the race I just let all the cars unfold and just kept chipping away and doing my bit, and I think we made it up to 15th, so I'm pretty happy about that.
You went forward in the race, of course, and that's going to be your goal from somewhere further down the back of the grid after, as you just mentioned, a difficult qualifying. Today's a very different day. We're looking at dry running. You reckon you can make some progress again today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been in testing in the dry. We were 5th fastest on Thursday, and then struggled a wee bit on Friday. But yeah, the pace is definitely there within the car and within me. So just put the two together, and hopefully we'll have the pace to go right forward. I'd imagine with dry, you can overtake a bit better. So there'll be a lot of carnage and probably a few safety cars here and there. So, you know, just do the overtakes at the right times and just let the carnage unfold when you need to, and hopefully that'll bring us forward.
You mentioned there you think you can overtake round here. Of course, Alton Park to now at Silverstone, very, very different circuits. You've got a lot of space here. You reckon that's going to open up some overtaking opportunities, and if so, where on track?
Yeah, absolutely. I know Brooklands and Lovefields a brilliant overtaking opportunity. You know, getting a good run out of the chicane and then run down the straight. You can always do a move into there. I remember even in F4 on the national track, you could do that. So in these cars, definitely so much more. And then yeah, even to Copse, if you get a good run out of Lovefields into Copse, you can definitely do one in there. And yeah, I mean, there's so many long straights. There's opportunity to just wait through Maggotts, Becketts, and then just go down Hanger Straight and hopefully get one into the end of Hanger Straight. There's plenty of overtaking opportunities, and hopefully we can maximise them.
And it's pretty cool. This is your first, effectively full season on the British Grand Prix circuit. Yeah. Must be cool to be racing on a lot of the tracks that the Formula One is going to this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's a kid's dream almost to race around these tracks, and it definitely was one of mine. So yeah, to even be here is an amazing thing, but we obviously want to do the best we possibly can, and and be at the front. We're starting second today for race 3, the reverse grid race, and that's definitely not the type of race we want to be at the front, but we'll maximise that opportunity and hopefully get a good result there.
Well, good luck at today's racing, especially from second on the grid in race 3, but we'll see how you get on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Piers. Speaking to Oliver Stewart, I'm now with a man who's come down to watch today, a good friend, Jimmy Broadbent. Jimmy, great to see you here. I know you've been invited down as a guest today. GB3 cars, they look pretty cool. How have you been enjoying the action so far?
It's been awesome. I didn't know the grid was this big until I came along. I was waiting for them all to come through cops, and they just kept coming. It was awesome. It's good racing out there, and a bit nice now. It's dried up as well.
Yeah, I mean, they do move fast, don't they? I mean, where have you been watching from, out of interest?
We were down at cops a bit earlier on, and it's always nice watching any downforce cars that come through there. I always think, I wonder if I could beat him in my Praga. Probably not. These guys are a lot quicker than I am.
Yeah, they're really good, and the racing is good as well. It's good to see that these guys, young drivers, it's a good stepping stone for them, isn't it, to move up into things like Formula 3?
Yeah, definitely. I think the online presence of both GP3 and GP4 has grown over the course of the last couple of years, and you see some familiar names go through there and then go on to more great things. So it's cool to watch that progression.
And let's talk a little bit about yourself. Firstly, congratulations, Praga Cup champion last year. It was fantastic, and the Team 87 stuff with what you're doing there. I know you were at Buckmore Park earlier this week, scouting some young drivers for your own team. So yeah, tell us how that's been going.
Yeah, it's been a busy, a busy few days. Yeah, really good. We selected our drivers for this year. They'll be going into the Club 100 series, something that you and I are both very much familiar of, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to attract some sponsors, end up doing something maybe like this. But the thing is, I want to drive as well, but these guys are quicker than me, so I've got to sort of swallow the pride a little bit and let them get out there.
That's what you're down here for, really, isn't it? You're scouting the teams, you're scouting the GB4 teams to where your drivers are going to go, right?
I keep getting shooed away from the garages, like, get out of here, you.
No, it's been fantastic. I'm sure most people know where to find this stuff, but where can they find out more stuff about Team 87? Yeah,
I mean, Team 87 over on Twitter, and of course on myself on YouTube as well, just my name, Jimmy Broadbent, and we're covering it all there. So if you're interested in seeing basically people with no experience jump into real life karting and real life racing, that's the place to go.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We've got round 6 coming up later. A fully reversed grid. Last place in qualifying starts first. What do you make of that?
I mean, I personally hate reverse grids, because if you're the guy who's finished last, you're thinking, this is going to suck. You're going to get overtaken by everyone coming through on the restart. But no, I'm a big fan of reverse. If you're quick, it's always fun carving through the field. But it does mean also there's that opportunity for maybe like just touching someone. These cars are quite fragile as well if you have any contact. So it's spicy to watch, but I wouldn't want to be out there in it.
I hope we can change your mind. Where are you going to be watching from?
I don't know yet. I might go down to Luffield. I've not been down there yet, so I'm quite lazy. I don't want to walk too far. So there's cops in Luffield, and I'm fine there. So yeah, probably down there.
Now come down to Douglas Motorsport, where I'm catching up with the man on the move in round number 5, Timetka Harcic, and the man who's been on the move all weekend. Look, Timetka, I know you had to start at the back after a penalty in qualifying, but how did you find that second race? 14 places, I think it was, you gained in the end.
Yeah, it's a tough weekend so far, but we have great speed, so we just can manage to get by just place by place, and yeah, just I was avoiding bigger mistakes. The other cars were crashing out. I was just like, driving around and having fun, Yeah, of course the situation is not so nice. We were planning to have a really good weekend with double pole, but yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, it just shows that we can come back even stronger. And yeah, looking forward for the last race.
Do you think then, I know maybe it's not results that you wanted that you can take away from this, but you can take a lot of positives from this, right? Positives that you can overtake a lot of people, you've got a lot of pace, and you can battle with anyone out there on track.
Yeah, that's true. I think it shows just that we're, getting up there, with the setup also. With me as a driver, no matter what conditions, no matter where we start, we just keep pushing, moving forward, and don't think what was in the past. I think that's pretty important, because Few drivers might just get destroyed by it,
Yeah.
It's like getting pole position and then dropping down to last, and what you can do from that. No, you just go and have fun. I'm having it, a bit disappointed, but yeah, that's what you said. It's good that we managed to come back even with the top 10 results.
And we are now down here in the assembly area getting ready to go for round 6 of the GB3 Championship. Piers Pryor alongside me. Piers, I think it's best, rather than us to speak to each other, we go and speak to some drivers because we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. I want to see if I can speak to a man on the front row, Oliver Stewart, who we have been speaking to this weekend. Oliver, starting on the front row at Silverstone, how does that feel?
Yeah, obviously it's great to be at the front row, but it's not exactly the race that we'd like to be starting at the front. But nevertheless, it's a good opportunity to score some good points and to get our first race in GB3 under the bag as a win. So, yeah.
Best of luck with it. That's Oliver Stewart. That is Iwasaki. You can see the 2 elite cars on the front row. It's a big race for them. Let's go to Piers now, who's going to speak to Edward Pearson.
Yes, Edward Pearson, third on the grid. A good opportunity for a strong result.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. We've struggled a bit this weekend with incidents and stuff, but hopefully we can get some points in this race.
Brilliant, best of luck. Hope it goes well for you, Chris.
And I'm going to come over to Noah Ping, the Arden driver. Second row for this one. How are you feeling?
Yeah, ready to go. It's going to be a good race for sure.
Yeah, think you can get some overtakes out there? Definitely room for it?
That's the plan for sure. I know there's some fast guys behind me, but our eyes are forward and we're looking to get a podium for sure.
Well, best of luck for it. Thank you for speaking to us as well. Let's move down and see if we can grab maybe one more driver. I want to see if we can speak to Jared Weberski, because he's one of the BRDC rising stars. Keep up, Ben. This is a race we're about to go into. There he is down there. Go on, Piers.
I'll jump with Jared. We all right to have a quick chat? Yeah, okay, let's jump with Jared.
Go and speak to
Jared. Jared, you've had some great pace this weekend. You've got quite a few cars to get past. Do you reckon we can make some progress in this one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a nice dry race. Belling's going to be good, so just got to try and pick them off one by one, have a good start, and just manage the race from there.
Brilliant, thanks very much, Jared. Best of luck. Of course, Christian Mansell there helping him out.
We might have time for one more question. I think the whistle is actually about to go, so we'll probably call it there. But well, Piers, in fact, let's spin round like we did last time, Ben. I think that was quite nice. Let's do that. Whistle is about to go, isn't it?
Yes.
Cars are about to go. Final thoughts ahead of the race?
Well, it's a splendid afternoon now, Chris, after all the chaos yesterday with the weather. But no, a really good race. Of course, everyone on new tyres once again. It's going to be a race to the flag. The fastest drivers at the back. The drivers have not quite had the pace this weekend at the front. I'm sure it's all going to come together in the middle. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Do you think we can see some progress from some of these guys down the back? Don't forget, this is a reverse grid race, a complete reverse grid race.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Timetka Harcic can get through the field. He went plus 15, I think, in the previous race, and he's at the back once again. We know you've had the pace, and yeah, very much looking forward to seeing how the drivers at the back make their way through.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what. We'll see if we can steal one question with Callum Voicing, because he is part of this BRDC. He's a BRDC superstar. Callum, we were speaking up on that roof yesterday, the clubhouse. I'm sure you got plenty of people up there. You want to make some progress for them?
Yeah, I mean we'll do our best. I think it's going to be difficult. Obviously, got quite a few cars ahead of me, but yeah, we'll do our best.
Best of luck with it. We will keep moving back, shall we? We've got Mackenzie Cresswell here. Yep. We'll see if we can grab a word with him, shall we, Piers?
Mackenzie, we chatted obviously before the racing started. A very different day to yesterday. Can you make some progress in this one as well?
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking to get well inside the top 10. Hopefully score some good points to cap off an overall okay weekend. Yeah, it's obviously completely different to yesterday, and there's a lot of rubber down from the GT, so it's going to be interesting.
Will be very interesting. Thanks for chatting to us. Good luck in the race.
What it was, we were thinking we were about to go, but Matthew Rees has just turned up now. So this car was a little bit later to the grid, as you can see. Fresh tyres on that one as well.
Of course, yeah. Matthew Rees will have been a little bit stressed. It'll be interesting to see what went on there, but glad to see him on the grid, of course, alongside his teammate Joseph Loke, who's of course, they're going to be side by side throughout the whole race. Let's hope that they have a strong one. I'm really interested to see how the pace is going to go and who's going to make progress, because we know these drivers at the back can all overtake and they've all got great pace, and interesting because the track conditions are so much different compared to every other session this weekend. We just had a 3-hour GT race out and a lot of rubber on the circuit. New tyres, looking forward to a good race.
Yep. When they say fire up, that means we spin round as well. I think this is the bit I love. This terrified me in the first race, but now when they all drive past, it's absolutely amazing, isn't it, being down here?
Oh, I love the visceral feeling you can hear in the cars. You can probably hear it over the mics. You can feel it in your chest. With
Here they go.
Centimetres away, and yeah.
I can't quite hear what you're saying, but we'll roll with it anyway. Here you can see the cars going past us now. We wish them all the best of luck. Bennett went past us to my right just there, and the last of the cars heading out. How many places can Harcic make? We saw him making 14 places. There's his teammate Styko. They're going to be potentially some of the drivers to watch, but that is all from us in the assembly area. It's time to go racing for the final time this weekend here at Silverstone.
Reverse grid drama always keeps us on the tips of our toes as we head into the final race for GB3 this weekend. Everyone out onto the grid, and as you can see by some of these drivers towards the back, there are sticker tyres, brand new tyres on everyone, courtesy of only using the wet tyres yesterday. They would have used a brand new set for the race earlier on today, and they'll be using a brand new set for the race this afternoon as well. It is delightful out there. If anything, actually quite hot out on circuit at the moment. Very toasty conditions as we prepare ourselves for the final race. There's been plenty of drama. It would have been brought up a little bit beforehand, but of course the likes of Suta Arau unfortunately unable to partake in this race after too much damage in the previous one. So the high-tech Pulsate Red Bull Racing junior driver unable to take part in proceedings for this final race. For anyone joining as well, the distance of this race, you might think it's going to be the same as the previous. No, it should be a longer race, up to 25 minutes of racing action, which when it comes to reverse grid stuff, an extension on that over last year's race is what should effectively bring this one to boiling point and give us some extra drama. Lewis McGlade and Piers Pryor in the commentary box. Piers, you've run over from the assembly area. This one, beautiful conditions, a complete counter to what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I scooted over from the assembly area.
Oh, did you?
Yes. But no, absolutely splendid conditions out there. Very, very mild. A lovely spring day to go racing, Lewis.
Yeah, certainly so. So we'll see them leave off. Everyone's got fresh tyres on, right? Because they obviously, as I was saying, they've got 2 sets of tyres. They've used a fresh one in the race this morning. They're going to use a fresh one this. Everyone's going to be on fresh. You're not going to use some of the sets from earlier, right?
No, especially with the track temperature rising and these GB3 cars, they can get their tyres up to temperature well enough that a new set of tyres or new tyres all the way around is going to be the fastest option for your race. Generally, you can sometimes have a bit faster start with used tyres, but no, definitely new for all of the drivers.
Certainly so. Well, let's take a look then at the grid for the final race at the weekend. Ayato Iwasaki is the driver who's going to be starting this one for pole position for the Elite Motorsports, but it's an Elite Motorsports lockout of the front row with Oliver Stewart starting from 2nd place. Edward Pearson for Vortex starts from 3rd alongside Noah Ping. He's had a decent round of working his way forward in the number 3 Arden VRD car. Arthur Roujon, he's got some great pace. We've spoken about that. Same with Max Esterson, a proven race winner in GB3, starting his way from 6th place, with David Morales in 7th and Michael Shin for the High-Tech Pulse 8 team starting from 8th. Nico Christodoulou and Zach Taylor rounding out the top 10 positions. Taylor's had a good job of working his way forward. See if he can do that for the 3rd consecutive race. Jared Waberski will start from 11th position alongside the Roden Carlin of Callum Voisin, one of the drivers up there in the championship. This is where he could get some points over Joseph Loke, Mackenzie Cresswell and James James Headley starting from 13th and 14th. Matthew Rees rolling his way from 15th position alongside our championship leader and two-time race winner this weekend, Joseph Lowe. Costa de Paris starts from 17th position alongside Alex Dunn, who will be rolling off 18th position. John Bennett, who unfortunately is the two-time first race winner, but had both of those removed, he'll be starting from 19th alongside Sean Rashid. Daniel Mavliatov from 21st, Gerard Shea from 22nd, and then Timetka Harcic and Lucas Stejko will be starting from 23rd and 24th. Of course, their disqualifications does also apply to this race. They won't be reversed to the front as they were removed from qualifying, so they'll be working their way up from the back of the field. And again, a reminder, there will be no Suta Arau in this race. That is why we are down to just 24. And also, just to clarify for anyone wondering about Suta Arau, he is absolutely fine. We spoke to him a few times in the paddock. He looks absolutely fine, fit and healthy. It's just to do with the car.
Yeah, unfortunately, an incident in that previous race, out of shot from the cameras. I think apparently it might have taken a tumble down the road, and too much damage for the team to get it out again for this final race of the weekend, which is a real shame. Shame to not see that fully Red Bull liveried car on the grid, and also a shame for him as well to not get the experience of driving on this Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for the final time in this extended reverse grid race, 25 minutes.
Yeah, so okay, let's talk about some of those that are higher up that we would lean towards as being more so the favourites. We know Rojon's pace is actually pretty handy, but leaning more maybe towards like Max Esterson, maybe rolling off a 6th spot. I mean, he had to Iwasaki, and to be fair, you know, GB3 is one of these ones where anyone can basically win, right?
Yeah, we've said that overtaking is certainly possible around this circuit, but my pick for the win is actually one of the two elite drivers on the front row, because in the dry, those elite cars have been rapid. I think I spoke to Oliver Stewart earlier on this weekend, and in testing on Thursday, they were sort of like 3rd, 4th, 5th. Around that sort of area in pace. So if they can find the pace they had earlier on in the week, then there's no reason why they can't win from the front row, and it's basically who gets to turn one first, I reckon.
Yeah, and we know that Elite have a great pedigree. You were talking about in the previous race, Tom Lebens run well around here last year for Elite. They do run well around this circuit.
Yes, they definitely do. Elite have got a good baseline set up around Silverstone. It is interesting to see how the different circuits suit different teams' car sort of philosophies and the way they set them up, and Elite definitely have a strong history around this circuit.
Well, you can see then the temperature at the moment. It is just shy of 20 degrees. You could see by Chris McCarthy's sweaty face that it is a bit toasty out there on circuit, and that is just the delightful sunshine that we're being greeted with on this Sunday afternoon. Round number 6 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. We'll see our way with Ayoto Iwasaki starting from pole position alongside Oliver Stewart. We race our way down towards turn 1, and I'm not sure that was a great start from Stewart. We head down towards that first corner. Costa de Paris continuing to struggle. It has been Ollie Stewart dropping back a couple of positions. He's got Edward Pearson almost making his way through around the outside, almost losing his front wing and all of that. They go 3 wide on the race down towards the likes of Magnus Beckers and Chapel. Look at that though, on the inside, that bright red highlighted car of Callum Foysen that was trying to work his way through, getting shuffled out just a little bit by Max Esterson, who's moved backwards on the grid on the start of the race, and the Fortec car is dropping down the order.
You saw that 2x2 through Maggots and Beckett side by side, about 3 or 4 rows, and they're still side by side. Look at the snake weaving left and right down the Hangar Straight, and we're about 4 wide. Yeah, we are 4 wide going into the background. Wow, that's going to be tight.
Yeah, there's big drama in there. I think that might have been, I was going to say Costa Passi, I think that might be John Bennett, that's had a couple of issues in all of that. We'll watch them all come through here, and who's losing a front wing in there? Oh, was that Morales or Reese?
No, that is one of the JHR cars. I can't tell who that is. It's Reese. Oh, Reese was, I think he might have had damage actually, because he was locked up going into the corner from very early on in the braking zone into Vale, and ended up collecting that car on the outside. I didn't quite catch who it was.
It's Loke, by the way. I think Loke is the one that's lost the front wing. I wasn't 100% sure, but I'm looking at this being a bit concerned. I think it might be our championship leader that has lost its front wing. We're wondering if there's going to be a safety car in all this. I'm not sure there's the requirement of it. Waberski having to worry about the charge of Headley getting to the inside. That is Max Esterson out wide with the green highlighted Fortec car with the iRacing logos on the side. Back towards the race leader, Yato Iwasaki having to deal with Noah Ping, who sends it straight to the inside. That is superb from Noah Ping, who's going to come across the line to lead the first lap here in the final race at Silverstone.
Yeah, that could be a decisive move. It was a great dummy manoeuvre. He looked to the outside, Iwasaki defended to the inside and thought, I've got it covered. Ping went back to the inside and took the lead from Iwasaki up the inside. That could be decisive, because we potentially might have a safety car, not been called yet, so they're still racing now. Ping is in the lead and is actually allowed himself to get onto the racing line, which is good. Voisin now looking at the inside of, is that Christodoulou?
It is indeed. Christodoulou's gone out wide. Voisin might pick this one up. As we can see, Voisin's made his way up to 7th position. position. A few drivers running out wide. They've got to be careful not to do that. I think it was Gerard Shea coming through the foreground of shot. Someone has come into the pit lane, which is Joseph Loke. So unfortunately, championship leader and two-time race winner this weekend. He's had a great weekend so far. We're having a good chat with Mike Epps between the two races. Obviously, his driver coach saying there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But alas, he's in good stead. But just a disappointing final race.
One thing I've noticed, which is ridiculous. Timetka Harcic up 9 places on one lap.
That'll be Shin going off. Sorry about that. Shin getting squeezed. I think there's 3 wide and all that. But you're absolutely right. Harcic's flying.
Yeah, and that'll be another place for Harcic probably there, because he's up 9 places, so nearly in the top 10 already. And his pace, we know, has been great. As we go side by side, one of the elites and Chris Dittman cars in C went out shot. No, they managed to make it through safely, which is good. And that is Reese coming in.
Rear right puncture, unfortunately. That would I did kind of wonder, I think there might be actually damage on the rear right rather than it just being a puncture. So big shame for the JHR development team to have both cars, or 2 cars rather, dropping down the order. Here's their other one. That will be a move to the inside from Morales, trying to get past Pearson. It's Morales what will be on the left-hand side. It's Pearson in that blue highlighted Fortec car that's just muscled his way through, and trying to make his way through all of that is Christodoulou, and this could open up the opportunity. There's been contact there, sending off Morales, and I think Voisin might come through in all of this.
Yeah, Morales just tried to hold it around the outside of Aintree and got the shove onto the dirt. I think he'll be a bit annoyed with that, and going through all that mud and wet grass, but he'll have a lot less grip going through the next few corners. Voisin picking up the pieces here. He's doing a very good job once again of just about staying out of trouble. I don't know whether on the first lap the 2 JHR cars may have come together.
There is potential. I mean, it was all 4 wide up into that section, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was 4 wide, not even just from the camera angle. It was genuinely 4 cars abreast, which we know that...
Oh, who's that smoking? Is that Morales?
It is potentially. Is that from the underside of the car, or is that from the engine?
It
looks from the underside.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
It is. It will be Morales when he went off. Maybe one of the bolts from the floor tray, or the plank they call it, has been dislodged, so they might be just dragging on the ground. It also looks like that Mavlyatov is dropping off the back of the group in the far background as well. Our race winner from race 3 at Alton Park.
Yeah, Bennett having a few issues to try and get past his Roden Carlin teammate of Costa Paris. This is a look in the background. You can see that car, the one that's actually spitting out the smoke, is trying to get past Waberski. That will be David Morales trying to make his way through. Clearly he's not struggling. If you kind of look underwards, you can see a little bit of the floor hanging a little bit lower than normal, as we can see Callum Voisin making his way past Pearson. So Voisin's up to 5th.
Yeah, Voisin having a very, very strong race. Up to 5th. Oh my goodness, 5th place. That's an excellent result. We saw him come through the field at Silverstone.
Max Esterson, no front wing.
Max Esterson's race weekend is going from bad to worse. He's clearly had contact with another driver. Front left puncture, front wing gone. That's pretty much race over, even if there is a safety car. So you still see some lockups going into that is the village and the loop.
Not sure who that would have been with us. I mean, he was around the likes of Dunn, Harcic, Morales as well. So we'll keep our eye on all of that and see who's dropping down the timesheets. There's Waberski coming through the middle of the shot. This is back towards the front, and you can see Roujon trying to get his way past Stewart as we head down towards Brooklands. It's Roujon on the outside with the red car for Chris Dittman Racing, trying to make his way past the number 17 of Ollie Stewart, who's out wide going through Luffield. You could see how fast his hands were moving.
Yeah, that was a big slide from Stewart, struggling a little bit at this part of the race after Roujon is putting the pressure on and keeping it up there, and he's very, very close. I think his best opportunity potentially next will be down the hanger straight into Stowe.
Yeah, as they fly their way through, going through Cobbs, no movement in here. You can see the large gap back to Callum Voisin, 4.8 seconds. A little bit of a look to the inside there from Christodoulou, trying to get his way past Pearson. That lead battle for 6th position, but we were talking about this in the previous race. If you have a half-hearted look down towards Cobbs, you could be a sitting duck by the time you get down into Magnus, Beckers and Chapel. Plenty of side-by-side in all of that. I think that might have been Dunn trying to make his way past, certainly is Dunn trying to get past Morales, which again asks the question as to who Esterson was in contact with, because no one else has dropped down.
Yeah, maybe he just hit the rear tyre of someone, as we see Pearson's going to be under pressure once again from the number 16. Of course, that is Mackenzie Cresswell, who's had a very strong race going around the outside. We saw Loke do this in the previous race, but in the damper conditions, that's Esterson. Let's see if Cresswell managed to make that move stick. Yes, he did. That's a great move.
Pearson's, dropping back a little bit because Waberski's going to come through as well. His teammate, ooh, that was a little bit tight there. So that'll be Waberski making his way up the order. There is cameras again, a little bit of a look at the damage and such. Vortec going to work very quickly here to try and get the front wing off, try and get the front left off as well. Tense times for them, but alas, I don't think Esserson's going to be finishing higher than 22nd, where he presently is running. Might not go a lap down though, which if a safety car comes out, that's what you're fighting for.
Yeah, and there's all the hallmarks of a safety car at this point, because there's fights up and down the field. Hopefully it's all clean, but you never know. With this many cars on the grid this close, as we can see, that's Harcic trying to make another position on the Chris Dittman racing car. Is that Zach Taylor?
Yeah, it is.
Taylor, who's had a strong race in race number 2 this weekend, is now fighting off probably the driver, almost certainly the driver who's made the most positions up this weekend, Timetka Harcic. We spoke to him before the race and he was ready for a fight in this one, and is showing that he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was really dejected yesterday and this morning, but as the racing's gone on, he's been picking himself back up again. They understand what's happened, they understand what's gone wrong, and to be fair, Kuharcik's just digging in deep for such a young driver to keep this focused. He's had some really solid drives, including a top 10 in the previous race, looking to get a top 10 in this one, presently running in 12th position as we see them all fly their way through Copse Corner. They are rapid at this point. There is Mavliatov. Unfortunately, yes, of course, yeah, race winner, struggling a little bit more at Silverstone as he did back in the previous round. That is, by the way, just Max Esserson going a lap down.
Just a note, this race is, of course, 5 minutes longer,
yes,
but the same number of effectively free passes at track limits. Yes. So expect to see some penalties towards the end of the race. 5-second penalties for exceeding track limits more than the allowed times. Timetka Harcic is now, no, that's not Harcic, that's Morales now having a look at the inside of Pearson. Can't get it done here. He'll be looking on the brakes into Vale, but he's now under pressure from the car behind him, which is Dunn.
See if there's going to be the move from Morales. Like I say, Dunn's having a little bit of a look, who then has to worry about Kuharcik behind as they all funnel their way through Club and out onto the Hamilton straight. James Headley also here in the middle of shot there with the bright green helmet in the charcoal grey VRD machine behind Zach Taylor. He's struggling a little bit more in speed. You've got Costas Paris and John Bennett still behind that. Bennett unable to make his way past the teammates. To give you an update on lap times at the moment, everyone's running pretty close on lap times. Joseph Lokes at the fastest lap of the race. Costas Paris is sending one straight down the inside of James Headley, getting squeezed off just a touch there, and the VRD car not having to worry too much about Taparis, because Taparis has his teammate nearly down the inside. That is Silverstone classic, isn't it, where it's you go for a move, and if you don't make it, well, you have to worry about the car behind, because they will be there and they will be close. Anyone going for a move down into Brooklyn's bit of a defence from Morales, but no move from Dunn.
Yeah, in the background, Steiko is having a look up the inside of Bennett now after that poor exit through the loop and Aintree, and we now keep on this battle between Pearson, Morales and Dunn.
Yeah, you can see Steiko there once again having a bit of a look on Bennett, looking over the entirety of the Luffield section. A couple of battles coming through in all of that. I think Gerard Shea and Sean Rashid are pretty close as well in a fight down, and I think just about outside for the final point, 18th place. At the moment though, Ping is clearing off. To give you an update for what's happening towards the front, the last lap time Ping was about 0.3 faster than the Yato Iwasaki, so there are some gaps beginning to grow, and there is the confirmation as well on your screen that the fastest lap of the race has just been set. I mean, it said Waberski in there. It certainly is a 55.083. He was only about 100th of a second faster than Cresswell ahead, so it's a pretty fast gaggle of cars where Waberski is in that 8th position.
The grip that Kuharcik has is very impressive. I mean, he's right in the back of Dunn. Dunn feeling like he needs to go defensive, but Arthur Rosen is right there as well, trying to pick up any pieces. No, sorry, that's Zach Taylor, my mistake. Zach Taylor in the Chris Dittman car, trying to look at to pick up any pieces. Bennett round the outside of his teammate to Paris into Vale. That's a great manoeuvre, keeping it clean between those two.
Yeah, that was a nice one. Not irritating Trevor Carlin too much, as you've got the likes of Callum Boysen being up inside the top 5. I mean, there's been a few struggles for the Rodin Carlin team, courtesy of those penalties that have gone the way of John Bennett this weekend. He's not a dirty driver, but he's just fallen foul of a couple of mistakes this weekend that he has held his hands up to. As there we see a bit of a lock up there from Zach Taylor, and he's got to worry backwards. Oh, he's gone straight on, and guess who's followed him? James Headley's gone straight off with him.
Yeah, I saw that coming. It was Taylor basically got his foot in very early on the exit of the loop, dropped a wheel on the exit of the curb, and once you drop your outside wheels off the back of that curb, the car bottoms out and you're basically on a skateboard, as we see Dunn going up the inside of Brooklands, where his race was ended in the previous one, and making a lovely manoeuvre up the inside of David Morales.
Oh, I'm just also getting a note that Ollie Stewart has just received a 5-second time penalty for track limits. That is the first one, and we're not even halfway through this race. 6 laps left to go in all this. Let's take a look at the replay of that incident. Let's see what happens with Zach Taylor here.
Yeah, you can literally see Taylor getting on the power so early to try and get a strong exit to defend from Headley and going off, and then Headley, unsighted, just basically followed him. He will have had a bit of understeer from the aero wash, but yeah, they've both lost places because of that. We're now looking at Pearson under pressure from Dunn now, and Harcic's actually dropped back behind Morales. Wait, or was he already behind?
Yeah, I think he was already behind.
Sorry, my mistake. I was getting confused as who was where.
Yeah, it's Dunn and Morales have switched over.
That's it.
Harcic's still in 12th place, is kind of where he's been for a few, a lap or two now, which, I mean, to be fair, the fact that he's come from the back of the grid and got to 12th, I mean, yeah, it's not bad. It's been a very impressive showing from this young man right here, and we'll see if that's going to continue. We did see a lot of graining, though, in the gym. Well, never mind, it's got past because there's been a couple of mistakes there from David Morales, and so that is Harcic through.
No, I think Morales has actually got a problem.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think Morales has got a problem.
Yeah,
because I think that'll be where all the grass has gone through the into the radiators when he went off the trackers, and probably just overheated the engine, and the engine will be going into limp home mode. So it's a really unfortunate for Morales. Another position for Harcic up to, well, that'll be 11th place now without penalties. Yeah, you can see he's put his rain light on to let everyone know that he's hobbling home, but Noah Ping at the front of the field is romping away.
Yeah, he's last lap, he was half a second faster than Yota Iwasaki, and again a reminder, the third car in shot, that number 17 of Ollie Stewart, that car does have a penalty. It'll be a 5-second post-race time penalty at the moment. He could be, he's the only one so far to have picked up one. I'm not sure he will be by the end of the race, as there is Dunn looking to the inside of Pearson, almost getting into the side of the 41. I was going to ask though, we saw a lot of graining in GB4 in the race. These tyres the same? Are we expecting the same?
I don't think we'll expect the same, because the thing with the GB3 cars is they've got that much more downforce. There's a lot more load going to the tyre, so it will heat up more evenly. And it's often when the sort of the centre of the tyre is cold and the surface gets hot from scrubbing that you end up with the graining. And it doesn't look like we're seeing any graining yet, and we are 15 minutes. No, 11 minutes remaining. So we've
got 5 laps left to go.
Yeah. So we're not seeing any graining as yet. So the track temperature being a bit higher probably will help as well. But yeah, no issues so far.
Yeah, they're not. The main car, it's not sliding over the surface of the circuit too much comparatively. It's being pushed into the ground by the downforce, but still.
One thing I've just noticed, that is we're looking at Harcic now on the back of Pearson. Harcic's actually got a Sunoco sticker stuck in the grille of his radiator. So
it's on the right-hand side, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see that next time you look at it front on shot, and that will be driving his engine temperature slightly up and up, and it might end up meaning he'll start to lose some power towards the end of the race. As Headley's having a look up the other side of Taparis into Vale, gets the move done. Taparis leaving him plenty of space.
Yeah, did also see ahead of that there was a couple of other moves going on. This is Callum Voisin on the back of Rojon, so there could be a move coming here as Voisin might make his way up to 4th position, or will become 3rd, courtesy of the penalty going the way of this man. Again, he's not the only one to have done it. I've just seen a 5-second time penalty has gone out for cars 15, which is Iwasaki, cars 39, which is Shea, Mavliatov as well, picking up a 5-second time penalty in the 99. That is 4 drivers who have picked up 5-second time penalties. We'll try and keep on top of this as best as you can, but at the moment both elite cars running 2nd and 3rd, both of them have penalties.
Tell you what is an absolute statement. Unfortunately, the 2 JHR cars that ended up having to come into the pits for changes, Loke is almost a lap down, has set the fastest lap of the race by a second. 1:54.6. The next fastest lap that I can see is a 55.
There'll be a 55.0 for Waberski.
Yeah, so he's 4/10, or on the previous lap he was almost a second faster than anyone else, so he's clearly angry and trying to make up for it and show that he would have had the pace to come through the field. We can see what we saw earlier in race 2, he can make manoeuvres, and really disappointing for those 2 JHR guys, but we're looking back at Voisin now, who's having another very, very solid race, keeping the pressure on Rojon.
This is exactly what we've been saying about with Voisin so far. If anyone caught us in the second race earlier on today, the second race of the weekend, we're going to see a switch here between the 2 Elite Motorsports cars. This is Iwasaki in the 15 on the left. The 17 with the slightly more yellow is Stewart, making his way past Iwasaki and into 2nd position. So it must have been a slow exit from Iwasaki, who I think might have some problems
100% Iwasaki must have a problem. He looks slow in a straight line and he's defending hard now, and this is going to play...
potentially?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe he went through the grass and we didn't see at some point, and now that is Voisin out the inside of Rojon. A great move there. That's very, very close. Good of Rojon to give him space, and now he's going to be looking up this inside of Iwasaki to try and get into a podium position.
Yeah, straight line speed on the Hamilton straight seemed okay from the Elite Motorsports car, but if there are going to be any struggles, it'll come out of the loop and Aintree and out onto the start finish. There, unfortunately, is the 3rd JHR Developments car into the pit lane. David David Morales, it has not been the great third race for them. Unfortunately, they've had a great day thus far, but you know, not every race can go perfect. You've got to take your highs. There's confirmation of the fast lap that was set by Loke on the previous lap. He's literally just reset it to a 54.585 as we're continuing on in this race. Let's see if Callum Voisin can make his way through the defensive line being taken by Ayata Iwasaki, and there is the outside line inside being taken from Nico Christodoulou, as that is the move straight around the outside. Beautiful stuff at Brooklands from Callum Voisin, and behind all of that, Christodoulou has made his way past Rojon.
We've seen that Voisin can make manoeuvres. We saw it last year at Brands GP, which is a notoriously difficult circuit to overtake, when he went up like 10 places. But again, a textbook manoeuvre around the outside of Brooklands, set him up. Iwasaki over defended, nice and deep on the brakes, give the guy in the inside space, and then you're on the inside of Luffield, and that is an excellent manoeuvre. Dunn now setting the fast lap of the race in 9th position, so charging onto the back of Wilberski at this point, at this rate.
Again, just to clarify with the results that Voisin's been getting this weekend, because we're saying, you know, maybe in qualifying he's not really looked like incredibly fast. You're saying about, like, you know, your average day is better than everyone else's average day. On the Saturday race, he finished in 6th place. On the race earlier today, he finished in 4th place, and this race is going to be finishing. He looks like he might be finishing on the podium.
Well, if you're
how incredible is that from Callum Voisin?
If you're trying to mount a championship challenge, you just need to bang in top 10s and top 5s as often as possible. And with a 6th place, or was it a 5th, and what could be a potential podium in this one, that's a very solid weekend. I don't want to jinx it.
No, absolutely not.
Touching wood, there's no wood in the comms box. So
no, there actually genuinely there isn't. There's a brick wall. I mean, that door's wood.
Anyway, Callum Voisin on his own now, trying to put the pressure. He's in the podium position. He'll be chasing down Oliver Stewart. Let's have a look and see where the fights are on circuit now. Oh, John Bennett's got a time penalty as well, as does Toparis and Reese at the back of the field. They're coming in thick and fast now, time penalties. So Iwasaki has a penalty, so that'll put Christodoulou and Rojon and Cresswell up as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of penalties out on this grid. Like we're saying, Christodoulou's going to move up onto the podium here, by the way, at the moment. Yes, he is on the rear end of Iwasaki. If he gets this move done, that'll be great. But at the moment, because of the penalty for Iwasaki, he's moving up. You did say we were going to see a lot of penalties in this race. There will be 2 laps left to go at the end of this one. Christodoulou's got to the outside of Iwasaki, and he put on a really good move here on Roujon on the previous lap. He's going to send it in around the outside of Brooklands, and yes, I know there's some issues coming from Iwasaki's Elite Motorsports car, but that's a brilliant move from the number 2 of Nico Christodoulou, looking to get onto the podium.
I don't actually think Iwasaki's got a car problem. I think we may have thought it was, because he looked like he was slow for a couple of corners, but he's right back on the pace now, and unfortunately he's just getting overtaken, I think, on sheer pace at this stage of the race. But yeah, it's good to see that the Arden VRD cars are having some good pace in this one, with Christodoulou's had a pretty strong weekend. But Voisin, even though he's in 3rd in the road, is now 2nd after, of course, Stewart's penalty will be applied after the race. Let's see if there's any more penalties coming in. Any more new ones?
No, it's just the 5, the 43 and the 27 were the previous 3 that came out, which of course was for John Bennett for Costa Toparis, and the 43, sorry, the 43 is of Toparis, the 5 being of Reese, so Reese being another one getting that penalty. Just to clarify as well, for Nico Christodoulou, this would be his first podium in GB3. Of course, he did a lot of, he did not all of last season, but most of last season. Ended up finishing the final race of the season in 4th, but for him to have worked his way through the order, he's had to do this properly. It's not as if he's been given it by poor qualifying, whatever, and been at the back of the grid, and so he's been reversed to the front. He has had to work for this big time, as we can see Morales still in the pit lane, so must have been some big engine problems for them.
Yeah, it would have been overheating. But they were looking around the rear suspension, so they'll just be trying to troubleshoot that. He's not going to get back out in this race. We still got a race on here between Dunn and Weberski. Actually, no, Dunn's made his way past Weberski.
Yeah, certainly. So the 22 is clear of Weberski at the moment. Obviously, Dunn doing that whilst setting the fast lap. His last 2 lap times was a 54.5 and a 54.5. That's how consistent that, by the way, fast lap of the race territory on both of those from Dunn. So he is rapid at the moment as he's trying to catch up with Mackenzie Cresswell. There's a little bit of a battle ahead of this, as I think it will be Rojon trying to get past to get to Iwasaki, and this time he's got to the inside of Brooklands, and the number 18 will move his way through. Penultimate lap of the race coming to a close, heading on to the final one as Rojon does move his way up the order.
Yeah, that's a good move from Rojon. It seems like that Elite Motorsport car of Iwasaki, he's just not getting the strong enough exit out of the loop, which is leaving him vulnerable into Brooklands, which is where most people have got through. But there's now a race for 2nd on the road, even though Voisin doesn't need to make this manoeuvre. I wonder whether he will be told by his team, by the pit boards, that he doesn't need to make this manoeuvre, because of course he could risk and try and get it on the road, but if there's a contact between them, then that is no net gain for Voisin at this point, because he's not going to catch Noah Ping at the front of the field now with just a 1 lap remaining. But I think maybe he'll just be trying to make another position just for fun.
Oh no, Callum Voisin's just received a 5-second time penalty. So has the number 11 of Styko, and of the 9 that belongs to Zach Taylor. So there's even more. So this does actually matter now for position. It will be the final spot on the podium if I can do the calculations. It's so complicated now, everything that's going on. We'll just talk about it as it's going, because Callum Voisin's sending it around the outside, trying to get past Ollie Stewart. That is a superb move from the Rodin Carlin of Callum Voisin. Fantastic stuff as they head through club.
It's not done yet though. Stewart's back in the slipstream and Voisin's having to defend into the first corner at Abbey. They're going to go side by side through here. No, not this time. But yeah, that is a move for position. I don't know what position it will be quite yet, because it's now time versus positions, but he'll be happy to get that move done. It's a shame that he's actually got that penalty, because, you know, he was driving so well. He could have just maybe reeled it in just, you know, 1% and not abused those track limits quite as much. But again, that last lap, the fastest lap set again by Alex Dunn in 8th position.
Yeah, I'm not joking when I say nearly half the grid at the moment have time penalties. It has been a wild final race here at Silverstone. A couple of drivers, though, that don't have time penalties thus far. Don't want to jinx it too much. But both the Arden VRD cars that are running 1st and 4th at the moment, that should become a 1-2 for Arden VRD, as we'll see Noah Ping, who's been fantastic through this race. He's pulled out by 3.1 seconds, and Ping will cross the line to win his first race in GB3, round number 6 of the championship. As he crosses the line on top, the penalties will start to be dished out, but Christodoulou, I do believe, will move to 2nd. Rojan as well onto his first podium, so it's a brand new trio on the podium. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, so provisional results after time penalties being applied. Ping, Christodoulou, Rojan, Voisin, Cresswell, Dunn in 6th, Stewart down to 7th, Kuharczyk 8th place from the back row of the grid. That's got to be up, what, 15 again? That boy can overtake.
He really, really can. And again, a bit of a reminder for Kuharczyk. Any big Kuharczyk fans out watching the broadcast? He did finish 10th in the previous race, so he's had to rise his way up the order before, and he's had to do it again, and just keeps sticking in these fantastic results. I mean, if he hadn't had those issues in qualifying, I think we'd be talking about a race winner here in Kuharczyk, but alas, that is the problem. Focusing on the race at hand, Ping is a race winner.
Noah Ping will be absolutely over the moon with that, and you could see the elation on the Arden VRD team as he came over the line, pumping fists, hanging over the pit wall. Great to see. Arden VRD, they've got that team up with the American VRD team sort of towards the back end of last year and into this year, and now, you know, with an American driver at the helm, it's clearly working for them, and they've had great pace this weekend in the dry. Struggled a little bit in the wet, which is why they were so far down the field in qualifying, but yeah, no doubt that they had a great car under them in the dry conditions, as is now demonstrated with a 1-2, provisional 1-2 after the time penalties.
Yeah, very much so. And again, there have been an awful lot of penalties in this race. I'm not even 100% sure at this point as to who's picked one up, but there have been quite a few. That is sometimes what happens.
Yeah, it's easily done. It is easily done at a circuit like Silverstone, because a lot of the corners with tarmac runoff, you know, it lures you in. You think, oh, I can just push and right up to the edge of the circuit, and all you have to do is just understeer a little bit wide in the dirty air, and then drop a wheel over the curb a couple of times and you'll get picked up for that. And it's a real shame to see those drivers dropping their positions, but ultimately you are in control of the vehicle, and I think the drivers potentially, or the team should have potentially let the drivers know that, you know, there's going to be a lot of time penalties for track limits in this race. If you keep your nose clean, you'll go up positions, and Arthur Rosen, for example, has gained about 2 or 3 positions onto the podium because of that.
Yeah, as from what I'm seeing, 10 cars of our 24 out on the circuit have time penalties in all of that. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, because we get to enjoy them all coming into the pit lane. A fantastic drive from Noah Ping, and again, brilliant ones from various ones joining them on the podium. Christodoulou and Rojan will be 1st, 2nd and 3rd in all of this once they've all figured their way through. I know Ollie Stewart's pulled into the left, Rojan's pulled in behind. It is chaos down there, courtesy of all the drivers that have given time penalties. I do feel bad for the likes of Chris McCarthy, who's going to have to interview podium that hopefully he knows which way round they are. Let's head down to him now.
It is confusion down here, but very, very happy confusion, particularly for the Arden VRD team. 2 drivers on the podium. Nico Christodoulou didn't even know he was on the podium. They had to jump out in the pit lane, wave him in. lot of confusion. Well done to our commentators, Lewis, McGlade, Piers, Pryor. They did a good job to keep us up to date, but more importantly, well done to this man, Noah Ping, who gets his first win and his first podium. He's just doing some celebrations with the team, and then after that, we'll get him to take his crash helmet off, and then we'll have a little chat with him. Noah, we did speak to him on the grid as well. We'll let you take your crash helmet off, and then we'll have a chat about how it feels to have a first podium. What a place to do it here on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit as well. They're going to go up there, this Arden VRD team. You can see them all behind me, or just to my left here, all celebrating in big numbers. And here he is, Noah. Well, you stayed within the track limits. You did a fantastic job out in front as well, and you got your first win.
Yeah, it's good. Unfortunately, it's a reverse grid. I would have liked it to be a normal race, but we'll take the points, we'll take the win, and it's nice to see another VRD guy up on the podium. So I just can't say thanks enough to this team. They work really hard. Our car was insane. I could plant the throttle whenever I wanted. I could roll the speed I wanted, and it never seemed to drop off. I think I saw consistent lap times on there as well, so it's just about hitting my marks and keeping my eyes forward.
And tell us how much hard work's gone into getting this.
Yeah, a lot, honestly. I didn't really do any winter testing in this car, so it's been a lot to progress up, and unfortunately it was wet yesterday in qualifying, and I knew I had the pace when it was dry, but unfortunately it's England, so it just seems to rain here almost every day, but I'm glad it was dry, and I'm glad we could get some pace and get some results for sure.
You've been driving like you grew up here. Absolutely superb job. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank my dad, my brother, Dan Mitchell, Arden, all the guys who put me up here, all the boys back home in the States who helped me through F4, and there's more to come for this team for sure. I think we'll be up there. If it's dry, for sure. If it's wet, we got to work on that, but in races to come, I think we'll be really, really strong.
Well, you get to stick that on now. That is your winner's Pirelli cap as well. We'll get the adjustments to it first. I think it looks pretty good. I think that's going to be the first one of a few as well. Well done to Noah Ping. Let's go and find our second place driver, Nico Christodoulou. It was a 1-2 for the Arden VRD team. Really superb job for them. We'll come round to Nico. There he is. 1-2 for the Arden VRD team, all because of this man as well, Nico Christodoulou. Absolutely superb performance. How does that feel?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, Brooklyn's left field is more my section, so it was easy to capitalize on people. But overall, it was a really good race. Made it from P9 to P2, so yeah, I'm really happy with that.
You put in some great moves as well. Talk us through some of those moves.
Just brake late, brake with no pressure, and send it in and hope it sticks. So yeah, really happy that the other guys were able to give the respect and leave some room. So yeah, overall it was good racing.
It was getting around the outside in some stages as well, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic.
Wherever the car can go and be ahead, I'll put it. So that's that.
Superb drive, well done, and a brilliant result for the team.
Yeah, team's been doing a really good job recently. We didn't have the best round at Alton, but here we've really shown what we can do. We've been fast in certain times. Got to work on the wet a little bit, but for sure we're there for the next.
Well done, congratulations. Go and celebrate with the team. Let's go and find our third place driver, Artur Rougion. There he is. You're back here due to the confusion on the podium. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel? Talk us through your emotions.
Yeah, I'm really happy to do on the podium for my second race in single seater. We start in P5. I know we have the pace to do on the podium, so to achieve that, it's really nice.
And who would you like to thank for this as well?
Yeah, Chris Dittman, my parents, all my sponsors for believing in me and help me to do this season.
It may be your first, but I'm sure there's going to be many more as well. Congratulations to Artur Rougion. There you can see celebrations building up down here, round 6 of the GB3 Championship. I think it definitely delivered. Well done to this Arden VRD team. Noah Ping pulling off an absolutely superb move, selling the dummy into Brooklands to go and take the win. They're going to head up to the podium now. In the meantime, we're going to hand you back to Lewis McGlade.
Certainly so, yeah. Very interesting to hear from some of those drivers. A lot of confusion down in pit lane. Before we see them onto the podium, I'm just going to tell you again the 5-second time penalties. Again, we'll see the highlights and we'll see the results at the end of the race. But just to remind you at home, the number 5 of Rees, the number 9 of Taylor, the 11 of Steiko, the 15 of Iwasaki, the 17 of Stewart, the 27 of Bennett, the 35 of Voisin, the 39 of Shea, the 43 of Taparis, the 99 of Mavliatov. That is a lot of penalties, all from track limits. Not 100% sure as to what happened to Waberski in the final moments of the race. Did see quite a few people asking the question as to what actually happened. Not 100% sure. So hopefully we'll be able to get the word from Fortec as to exactly what happened in all of that. But yeah, what a race, and what a bizarre string of results from all of that. Again, we'll see our podium come out as we'll see Rojon out onto it. Again, a first podium for Rojon. I did say before, it's the first podium for all 3 of the drivers on there. Rojon will be the first one to jump on. So Chris Dittman racing onto the podium for the first time this season. We have seen Arden VRD on the podium, of course, courtesy of James Headley's victories a few weeks ago. Back in Alton Park. Nico Christodoulou with his first podium takes 2nd position, and then Noah Ping, honestly, with an absolutely stunning drive, lights to flag his first victory in the championship. He just pulled away from everyone. It was a superb job from Ping as he crossed the line and took his first victory, the number 3, in a 1-2 for the Arden VRD team. And again, that'll be a well-treasured trophy if ever I've seen it. Round 6 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. And the fastest lap of the weekend going its way of Kuharczyk. It's been a difficult one, a difficult weekend for Kuharczyk, but he has put in the work. He has worked his way up the order. He started to smile a little bit as the weekend's gone on, but for Kuharczyk, it's more of a question of things to come for the Douglas Motorsports driver. He's got so much speed and so much talent. The driver there on the left-hand side of shot. No podiums for him this weekend, but he has shown his pace. He's thrown down the gauntlet to the rest of the field and said, look, this is what I can do. And I'm sure we'll be seeing him as the season progresses. We'll take a look, though, at highlights from the race. Highlights from the 6th round of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Got underway in the reverse grid race with a poor start from Oliver Stewart, but a great one from Iwasaki, taking and holding the lead into the first corner. Pearson trying to make some progress and up and onto the podium set as they were heading their way down towards Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. It was 3 wide towards the front, but it was 4 wide towards the back as everyone was tripping up over each other. Waberski getting in there a little bit, and a front wing being lost for championship leader Joseph Loke through the middle of the pack. Unfortunately for him, things weren't going to go too well in this race. Snort, was it going to go well for the likes of Matthew Rees into Mavliatov as they head their way down into the Club and Vale section? And unfortunately for JHR Development, he was back into the pit lane. James Headley trying to make his way past Waberski as they were all heading their way through, but it was the likes of Max Esterson out wide with a couple of problems out onto the Wellington straight. And unfortunately for Fortec, he'd be dropping behind his teammate as well. Charging his way up the order was Waberski, same with the likes of Zach Taylor. Unfortunately for Shin, he was way out wide after contact. 3 wide going into Stowe doesn't normally work, but it didn't on this occasion. Shin out wide. Watch this though, Taylor ahead of Headley as they were running through the loop. Just completely misjudging the corner, out wide through Aintree. John Bennett picking up a couple of positions as they would race their way through. This late on in the race, in the final lap of the race, as Callum Voisin was trying to make his way past Ollie Stewart through all of this, but both of them having 5-second time penalties for track limit excursions, and so the position, whilst it was important for them later on, it wouldn't work out too much in the race. Rojon would come across the line behind Christodoulou, and behind this driver here, Noah Ping, who would take his first win of the season. We'll take a look at the results as well. Again, very, very provisional. A lot of penalties being dished out in that race. Noah Ping taking top honours from Christodoulou and Arden VRD 1-2. Chris Dittman Racing getting in 3rd position with Rojon, and then Voisin and Cresswell behind all of that. A few penalties for those. Same with Dunn and Stewart. Kuharczyk into 8th position after setting the fastest lap of the weekend. Iwasaki in 9th, and then Headley in 10th position. Onto the second page, where we can see Bennett and Pearson down in 11th 11th and 12th after them working their way up the order. Unfortunately, Pearson, not quite the race he would have expected. Zach Taylor as well, a couple of issues through that race. Taparis had a big fight with his teammate Bennett through that and ended up in 14th position. Styko, Rashid, Shi, and then Mavliatov, Shin and Loke just about finishing on the lead lap. Same with Roberski after very late race drama. Not 100% sure as to what's happened to the South African. Esterson finishing just 1 lap down, and then big drama for JHR Development as Reese and Morales would both finish a few laps down apiece. Not 100% sure as to how JHR Development feel about this weekend, but you know, the final race ending on a negative, but all of the rest being on a positive. We'll hand down though to Piers and see what's happening down in the paddock.
Yeah, we're down here at the media pen, and we've got Alex Dunn here. Alex for High-Tech Pulsate. Great pace in that one. You came through to inside the top 10. Just talk us through your race.
Yeah, you know, I think it was a pretty hectic race. You know, I got a really good start off the line and then kind of just picked my way through the traffic. I think there was a slight incident on lap 1 which I managed to capitalise on and get some good positions. And yeah, from then on, I think Ash, my engineer, did a really good job on the setup. You know, you kind of have to compromise in these races, whether you want to go for clean air or dirty air, and I think we managed to have a really good mix for both. So yeah, you know, I think definitely we had really strong pace in race 2 this morning, but unfortunately we couldn't do anything about it with the incident. So I think we got to show that in race 3 today.
Yeah, good that you got to show the pace. It looked like about halfway through the race the car just came alive because your pace just came out of nowhere, and then you were setting fast lap after fastest lap really consistently as well. You must be happy with how you're feeling in the car at this early stage in the season.
Yeah, you know, I'm feeling confident and comfortable in the car. You know, I think we had pretty strong pace at Alton too, but I think I kind of made a couple of mistakes myself in qualifying, so that kind of limited to what we were able to show. But yeah, you know, I'm really happy with the progress we've made, and hopefully we can carry that on for the rest of the year.
Brilliant. Well, we'll see you in a few weeks' time, I believe, at Spa. So back to us. We think we have Jared Woberski. Jared, if you want to come round and duck underneath the rope there, we'll grab a word. Jared Woberski, actually out of sight of us, unfortunately, had a bit of an issue. You were right up there, and then just tell us what happened in the end.
Yeah, so with pretty much 4 laps to go, I started to lose gears. So every like 3rd or 2nd gear, I'd end up not having gears. So I ended up having to, you know, use the clutch on every downshift. So that wasn't ideal. And still considering the pace wasn't too bad. And then with 2 laps to go, we just lost all gears and yeah, had a big issue. So I just had to come back to the pits, you know, limit the damage. But overall, it was a fun race in the beginning, making some good moves, but yeah, a bit unfortunate.
Making some good moves indeed, and it must be good fun to race on the we're at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. It's a very different circuit to Alton Park. I think we're at Spa next. Looking forward to that?
Yeah, looking forward to Spa. You know, never raced there. You know, driven it on the simulator thousands of times. It's, you know, such an iconic circuit as well. So, you know, really looking forward to, and I think the racing over there is going to be really, really good. So really looking forward to that.
We've seen the slipstreaming down the Kemmel Straight and sort of through Blanchimont in previous years. Do you reckon your car's going to suit that track?
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's going to be completely different to what we run everywhere else on all the UK circuits. So, but something, you know, we'll have to get used to and tune into on the Friday. So yeah, but no, looking forward to getting started there.
Brilliant, thanks Jared. And I think we've got time, well, we'll see you in a few weeks. I think we've got time to chat briefly to a man eating an ice cream. Callum Voice said, just have a duck underneath the rope there, so you're, you know, when you're running away. Callum, a very, very solid weekend. Unfortunately, a time penalty just at the end of the race, but still, I think it was 4th place after penalties, provisional of course. And you clearly chilled out eating the ice cream.
Yeah, sorry about the cornetto, but no, I mean, very good race. I wasn't expecting to, you know, grab a podium. Well, provisionally grab a podium. I mean, yeah, I just kept picking them off lap by lap. Car felt very good. So yeah, I mean, very happy. I don't really know what my penalty was for because I only did two track limit warnings. So I don't really know what's that for, but I guess that's for another day. Still very happy with P4, I think it was. So, yeah.
Even with the penalty P4, that's 3 solid results this weekend. You know, not setting the world on fire. You hadn't won any races this weekend, but for the championship, that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, very good. I think we always had that pace, but it was hard to show it. I think through testing we struggled a little bit, and then obviously in qualifying we had a little bit of a mishap. So, you know, finally managed to kind of show what we had, and yeah, very happy with it.
And also the fact that some of your championship rivals had a few issues, and potentially throughout the year may do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our main goal, is mostly to stay out of trouble. You know, I don't really need to prove anything in terms of winning races. I did that last year. That's kind of what last year was about, you know, proving myself. I don't feel like I need to do that anymore. So I think picking up good results and staying out of trouble is our main aim, and that's more or less what we did. So.
Brilliant, thanks Callum. We'll see you at Spa in a few weeks' time. Well done for this weekend, Chris.
Well done, Callum. Did well in front of the BRDC clubhouse as well. Really good. We'll let you shoot off and finish your ice cream for him, Miles. But see you at the next one. But fantastic racing all round. I think a move from Noah Ping worthy of a race win.
Oh yeah,
100%. Sells the dummy. Classic. What you learn in karting, isn't it? You know, you've done it to many a person, I'm sure. But yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic race.
Oh, it was a great race, and it's great to see Noah Ping have a great finish as well. That move, as you mentioned, for the lead, going outside, ducking to the inside, and I think actually we've got another driver coming in. Timek, let's have a quick word. Timetka Harcic is the big mover in that race.
Right, here you go. You can have your own microphone.
Here we go, Timek. Right, Timek. You've had a difficult weekend this weekend, of course, with the issue in qualifying, and every single race you've come through in another top 10. Just how are you getting through the field?
I don't know, just like this, you know.
Just pure pace, but clearly the car is feeling good.
Car's feeling good. I think, you know, we avoided the other cars crashing out, you know, and got sneaking around these cars, and yeah, I mean, it's great last race. I think I didn't suppose that it went so well. Yeah, I think pretty good first lap, and then just, you know, it was a bit more difficult because the cars were far from each other. But we still had, I think, the fastest lap, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Brilliant. Apparently you got the fastest lap award for this weekend, fastest lap of the whole weekend, so that's another little thing with your hat you've got on there from the Sunoco. Timek, just a quick word, Spa next out, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, surely. I think it's a bit similar, like Silverstone, a lot of high-speed stuff. Yeah, we're looking forward for it. We'll see what you can do there.
Brilliant, and let's have a word in Polish to your Polish fans at home.
Ciężki weekend za nami, dyskwalifikacje po kwalifikacjach. Myśleliśmy, że będzie ciężko nadrabiać pozycje, ale na szczęście się udawało. I ten wyścig ostatni też dobry, najszybsze okrążenie, więc myślę pozytywny koniec na ten ciężki weekend.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Timek. Congratulations on a strong weekend even despite these troubles. We'll let you go. Chris?
Well, there we go. Well, that's it. Fantastic weekend of racing here at Silverstone. I think it truly delivered. My sweaty face definitely did enjoy it. Thank you very much, Lewis. We're going to be back with GB3 on the 3rd and 4th of June at Spa. You definitely do not want to miss that one. However, we have a GB4 race still coming up here at Silverstone, so do not go anywhere. We will be back to call the action for that one, but for GB3 fans only, we will see you in Spa in a few weeks. Bye-bye.